Hello everyone, good day. So my apologies to all of you for wala ko magamit og computer because per audio ahong kuan computer. Okay, so I had to use my phone for me to record our discussion. Okay, so today we will discuss all about the database development life cycle. Okay, so in creating a system, in creating a database, there are some phases that we need to um, follow, right? So in sa system naman tayo gitawag nga SDLC, 'di ba? We call it a system development life cycle. So in database, lahi po si database. So we call it database development life cycle. So there are some things that we need to consider first in creating our database. Okay. So if you wanted to build a house, so ka magtukod og balay, then dili jud ka basta-basta nga mudong ka dayon sa site, di ba? Para magpanday ka, mamutang ka og semento, di ba? So kinahanglan nato nga um musikta og help mo tan-a mo sina na mangita ka og architect, foreman ba panday, di ba? Para mo check sa imuhang plano, mo check sa imong site, and of course para tabangan kanila nga ma-determine nimo unsay mga needs nimo, mga desires nimo para sa imong balay, and of course no sa budget nimo para sa imong balay. And of course no, i-draw up na nila in a detailed set of construction documents or what we call it a blueprint. So di ka basta-basta gyud og build kag balay kay napa na siya mga documents na kinahanglan i-approve. So once document is approved na, then na siya blueprint permado na tanan sa mga engineer. So that's the time nga ang process ana is complete na. So you can take the blueprints to the construction site and you need to begin building the house with the confidence of having a solid plan in the place first. So mao po na siya ni database development cycle ay magama kag project no. So mao na siya ang concept no. Same process applies rin na siya sa database development project. So now natay gitawag nga database development life cycle. Diba? So mao ni siya ang kinahanglan natong i-follow nga process para mag-create og ato ang database. Dili ka maghala-hala o create nga wala kay process nga giuna. Okay. So there are some things that phases nga kinahanglan natong unahon. First thing is we need to plan. Planning gyud. So planning is the initial phase where an organization determines whether they actually have a need for a database. So what its goals should be, the feasibility of successfully accomplishing those goals. So planning yun ang pinakauna. Whether magama ka og system, database, so planning yun ang kinaunhan nga phase nga ato ang buhaton. Okay. So next one is requirements analysis or what we called the requirements gathering. Okay. So wana nga magplano ka, then after sa imong plano is magathered na ka sa mga requirements nimo sa imuhang database. So unsay kinahanglan, no, pila ka data ang ma-consume ana nga database, ay pila ka, yes, volume of data. So how much data needs to be stored? Okay, kay basin di ay kuwangon ka sa imong storage, so dili tanan masulod, di ba? So of course, what type of data ang gi-required sa imuhang organization, sa imong gigamaan og database? Okay, so high-level studies are performed to determine how long the project might take to accomplish, whether the cost, the time, the payroll, and are offset by the expected return on the investment. Okay, so in this topic, we're going to assume that the planning phase has already been completed and that our database project has been given to the green light to proceed. Okay, so requirement gatherings comes next. So, mo to akong giingon ganina, no? So, it places the focus on what the database is to accomplish, but not how to go about doing it. So, here, we're interested in determining all of the tasks that the database is expected to perform. So, this goes beyond simply the information that's to be stored and involves identifying the types of reports that are expected to be produced, as well as any special needs relating to those rare exceptions or anomalies, okay, that will cause widespread disruption sa inyong system if dili mo prepare ani. Okay, so let's talk about the design. So the database design, the logical design. Okay. Okay, so we'll begin translating the requirements into a structure required for a relational database. So in this space. So that means organizing all the bits of data that we want to store into the team tables and deciding how best to relate those tables to one another. So logical design is all about taking our plan, okay, and making it more specific to the structures of our relational database system. So this probably best describes with an example. Let's suppose that in the previous spaces, we've determined that we want to store information for a bookstore, I think. Yes. So, sa isa ka book na amang yun ng title, author, publisher, sa usa ka libro. So let's suppose that we also want to store the customer written book reviews in our database. So ang customer mo hatag ay mo suwat sila og review sa usa ka book sa inyuhang database, so ma-store sa inyuhang database. So one of the things that we need to determine as part of the logical design phase is how much space do we allot for these reviews. So reviews means feedback nimo sa imuhang book nga feedback sa customer sa usa ka libro nga how well ang iyahang pagbasa, no, iyang paggamit sa libro. So expected nga taas ang iyahang kanang reviews intahay. So taas gid iyang characters, no, kay reviews man. So butang tag mga 5 ka sentence, di ba? Or 1 ka sentence ba aron. So daghan jud kag space nga magamit. So di magsilbi og 10, 20 nga naka space kay counted man ang space ana, no, every letters. Intahay, the space. Counted man na siya. So, magunahon na ka, no? Pwede 100 characters. Kuan ba siya ka ng enough ba siya? 1,000 characters, enough ba ang 1,000 characters or 10,000 characters? So, or pwede po, no, nga try kag integrate sa system nga automatically ang reviews niya is through Twitter or any social media nga kanang platforms. Okay. So, this is just one example of the kinds of consideration that we make during the logical pace design. So, where we determine constraints and rules that the data must meet. So, before we allow it to be stored, the physical design phase is up next. Okay, ano na tayo ni physical database design. Okay, in this phase, this is where you translate the logical design plan into the language of your specific database management system. In fact, you may have realized that the physical design phase is actually the first phase where even concerned with the specific database that we're developing in. So to illustrate what this phase is about, so let's return to our book review data. So there are differences in the data type that must be assigned to that piece of data depending on the chosen DBMS. So if we're developing within Microsoft Access, we'll assign that to a memo or a long text data type depending sa version sa imong software nga imong gigamit. So if we're developing sa SQL server, so ang naka-assign ana is text nga data type. So and if Oracle ang imong gamiton, we use something called club data type, so which stands for character large objects. So once the physical design is completed, okay. So at this point, the need to make decisions about how things should be put together should be at a minimum or even non-existent. Okay. So we have here next is implementation. So it involves installing the newly developed database on the client's machine. So deploying to the end users, providing training on how to use the system. Okay? So for example, nakay system, no? So every system na amang gyud ng database, right? So mo na nga ang mogamit na manggod ana is ang end user. Unsa man ang mga end user? So end users is the people. 'Di ba? Siya ang mogamit. We are the developers and ang end users mao na ang mogamit sa system. Mao na nga mupalit kintahay kang system, then mo provide gina sila og training, muhatag na sila og training. Hatagan gid mo training ana on how to use the system. Tudloan mo ana kay dili tanan taw is techie, di ba? So moabi to ng kay bantay na mo ang mga cashier sa mga mall. So kanang cashier trainingon magid na sila. Kay kanang ilang gikaatubang is a system. Usa man nilang gikaatubang mao na ang POS. POS is a point of sale system. So sa POS diha nimo makita ang mga data sa imong baligya, di ba? Mga baligya, mga mga baligya nimo sa imuhang mall, kintahay, store nimo. So diha nagmatch ng imong barcode sa imuhang item. So mo na siya, no? So diha niya to makita ang pilay halin nimo for that week, for that day, for that whole month, for the whole year. So mo na siya ng system. So mo na siya point of sale system. So it's all about the sales. Okay. So mo na siya nga ang cashier i-train gina siya kaayo kay dili man gud tanan no techie. So dili tanan ka mao mo gamit sa system. So mo na diha mo sod kasi UI UX nga makasabot ang imuhang user sa interface sa imuhang system, mga dili sila maglibog. So mo na nga mo-provide gyud sila training aron makahibaw sila kung saan gyud paggamit sa system. Oh yes, so finally, there will always be a requirement to provide ongoing support. No matter how careful you are in the development process, there is always going to be a bug and fixes, security patches, as well as performance enhancements, implementing the occasional new feature request. So it's important to stress that the development life cycle is not necessarily a linear process. Sometimes information is obtained that alters the previous assumption or perspective on the project, and you must travel back up the process to accumulate this new understanding or requirement. Okay. Okay, so yes, so kinahanglan nga naay maintenance ang imuhang system. So what if naay bug? So what if naguba, no? What if naay di mo gana? So mo na kinahanglan nimo nga andam ta ana every system, every database na gyud na maintenance para mo look over ana nga side, no? So dapat na gyud kay backup. Okay, so we have here also operations. So operations in this space, the database is accessed by the end user. Mo tong implementation. So data loading. Okay, so once the database has been created, the data must be loaded into database. So mo to nga naa kay mangmutang na ka og mga data sa imuhang database. And the data required to be converted if the loaded date is in different format. Okay, so I guess that's all for today. So I hope nga nakasabot mo usay kanang sa mga different phases ni database development life cycle in creating your database. Okay, so I hope you have learned something new today and keep posted sa atong ahang activity sa Google Classroom. Okay, so if there are some of you nga wala pa naka-answer sa mga previous assessments nato, so please tagda na ang mga assessment. Okay, so wag nalita ani so kay nakafocus ko sa kanang online face to face. So no pressure in answering, but I want you to answer all our assessment before ma-end ang ato ang semester. Okay? Alright, so I guess that's all. Okay, thank you and God bless.